Another tokenomics walkthrough video. This time I'm going to walk through a diagram that I've made for dYdX. I've got an article that explains the whole story, so if you want to read through that, I'll link it down below. But yeah, dYdX is basically an exchange, and not just a normal exchange, but you can trade with leverage. So you can use not only futures, but perpetuals and all sorts of fancy stuff that allows you to use leverage. Yeah. And the way to start, a trader basically logs into their exchange and deposits some token. I think some USDC, ETH, whatever. Deposit that, and then you can start trading. So the more you deposit, the more leverage you can take, and trade on all sorts of currencies. And for every trade, that trader obviously pays a fee in this case, right? So there's this website, just log in, you trade, deposit some money to do that, and you pay a fee. And that fee, that goes actually in this case to a centralized entity. It's called the dYdX Trading Inc. So it's incorporated, I think, in the United States, and they actually collect all that trading revenue that happens on the platform, which is quite interesting. And the fact that they are this like half centralized, half decentralized protocol is also quite interesting, I think. So in order to make this like really, really efficient and super fast, I guess that's kind of like the background on why they've decided to do this. They have an off-chain order book and matching engine, right? So if you run your trades, and trade is usually something that needs to go pretty smooth and happen quickly. And so, yeah, that's kind of, they've got this order book, matching engine, liquidity coming through that as well, through private entities, I think. And that's kind of how that works, right? There's more or less decentralized thing, exchange, where you deposit your tokens into a smart contract, and then you can use them to trade, and the trade happens against this trading inc. And the token comes into play. It's called the dYdX token. There's 1 billion of them total supply, and they've got this Genesis supply. You can read the article for all the details on how much was distributed to what, but essentially the token comes into play first, that the traders who hold dYdX tokens get reduced trading fees. And I think that's a really cool and strong incentive mechanism in this case, because people who trade, they typically do a lot of trades, and they would also pay a good amount of transaction fees, right? So holding the token for them could be an interesting thing to do. And then through this Genesis supply, they will get, based on the trade volume, so the users with the highest trade volume, they will get dYdX tokens, and can decide to hold them to reduce their trading fees, or can sell them or whatever. Whatever. They could put them into the liquidity module. So they've got this module in here, it's pretty much a mechanism where people can deposit USDC into this liquidity module, and they will earn a yield in dYdX tokens. And they just use that for the liquidity of the dYdX token, I assume, on decentralized exchanges, right? And that's fueled also with the Genesis supply. So there's a certain bucket allocated to that and goes into this liquidity module, and token holders can provide that liquidity and get some yield, get some rewards for that. Additionally, there's what they call the safety module, and this is kind of like an interesting one. So people can deposit, and I guess Uniswap has something similar. People can deposit dYdX into the safety module, and what they say what it's used for is for shortfall events. So shortfall events could something like smart contract failure that occurs, and then if that failure occurs, they would use a certain amount of this money that was staked into the safety module to pay for whatever happened, right? To bail out whatever. But the thing I find interesting is that, why did they use dYdX for that, right? So the safety module on the one side is to protect for, or in the case of shortfall events, and I'm sure if there is a shortfall event, some sort of smart contract failure, the token price would be going down anyway. So why do you then take dYdX and not an uncorrelated asset to do that? Anyway, I think this was some way or some reason to give the token some utility. So people who have dYdX, they can stake it and earn interest. And the safety module is also fueled by the Genesis supply. And so is the trading ink. They've also received a little bit out of that. And yeah, those are kind of like the main use cases of the token. The one more, and of course, like obvious thing that most of these protocols have is governance. So token holders, they can also vote. There is a dYdX community treasury that was also supplied by this Genesis supply that got like a good chunk of that into the treasury. And yeah, the members, they can vote. So they can write the members, the token holders, they can write proposals and they can vote on what to do with that treasury. That could be grants. I guess they can also input to software development that is done by the dYdX Trading Inc. And yeah, then there's also this foundation that kind of like does the branding, also inputs to the software development side of that. So I find this quite boring, the tokenomics. And the treasury aspect, that's noteworthy because it's only supplied by the Genesis supply. There's no trading revenue going into that treasury, right? So the people basically govern just some dYdX tokens and maybe some diversification they've done with that over time. But yeah, that's kind of it. But there's hope. So they're launching a version 4, I think, is that. And in that, they are going to migrate to Cosmos, to the Cosmos SDK, and build their own blockchain, I think, to run this on. And then what they will also do is that they will completely decentralize. That means they'll move this order book, this matching engine, all of that completely on chain, and then also make sure that that trading revenue goes into the treasury. And that's when this governance token really becomes valuable, right? Because then you can govern over the revenue that dYdX makes. And if you read the article, it's really quite a lot of revenue that they do compared to all the other protocols. Yeah, that's the token. I think, yeah, keep an eye out of this V4 and check out the article. Thanks for listening or watching.